Uh, I still like this, to be honest. Right. Um, so I wanted to go over obviously some of the outlook at first. Profiling the 7 hour, we've come into this fair value gap. Obviously, ideally, I do want to look for long setups, all-time highs. Just because it's Friday, it doesn't mean that it's going to trade back into the range, especially when we haven't. It is technically Tuesday low of the week, but it's not a clean expansion week. The range is really small comparatively. I still do think we can go higher for that reason. Come into that fair value gap and rejected it. And what I'm seeing on the 4 hour, we took out the previous 4 hour candle low, and London session has manipulated into this fair value gap here, this range low. Okay. So I am expecting 930 to be distribution. I would expect us to work higher from this point forward, in my opinion. You've got this range low, and we took out this sell side liquidity as we went down into it, and strong rejection from there. Um, so yeah, we're gonna watch 930. I think we can see it propel. Let's see what we get. We've obviously got some equal highs inside of here. You got this connected range high as well. I'm not sure if we'll get all the way up here. We definitely could, by all means, but this would be first target. Because again, same play as always, new range. I know we came into 50%, but we haven't yet taken these equal highs out as well. And you have internal range liquidity there. Sorry if I'm a bit slow. I just recorded a YouTube video. My brain's fried. Um so yeah, we got the internal range highs here that I think we can target on the upside. Very simple. Again, just profiling the intraday time frames. Raided into this small, very small volume imbalance as well here. But on the 7 hour, that is a nice fair value gap. And we rejected from that in London sessions candle. I would expect the next one to expand higher towards these highs, and that's what I would look for. We do have SMT down there with ES as well on these lows. So I wouldn't want us to come back down here. If we come back down here, I'm wrong, and so be it, right? So we've also did we fully fill? No, we just fell short. But you've got a nice order block there that we traded down into on the 30 minute as well. So I'm expecting 930 to be distribution. When can we expect 930 to be distribution? If London session has manipulated, which it did. 3 a.m. started here, came down into this range low. Okay, so I'm expecting distribution, and I would like to see us work higher towards some of these highs. I don't think I mentioned that in the outlook, but similar play to the one on Wednesday. I took that trade on Wednesday in the prop firm match live stream. I didn't announce that I took it because I didn't want to, quite frankly. Um, but I was updating the chat in here, and I told you guys we should see expansion, which was if we go and recap that, um, Wednesday, yeah, I took the longs from down here, okay? Which I just today I am recapping this on the YouTube video as well, but obviously I'll go into more detail here. Range play, range low ran, distribution higher. My entry was on this when we ran these stops out because okay, this is very important for you guys as well. I do not say this in the YouTube video, by the way. I would never teach this on YouTube. You've got the reversal, right? Something I spoke about before, where reversal sequence, then we start to consolidate. Okay. So what do we want to see from that consolidation? Expansion. And when we started breaking out of this, I longed around here with my stop loss below here. Okay. I longed around there because we've had the reversal from down here and then we began to consolidate. Also, 10 a.m. opened up there. So we're below 10 a.m. opening price. We ran out equal lows here, so we've had a stop run and we consolidated. Now we want to see expansion. And throughout this expansion leg, we rip higher towards these equal highs. This was the initial target, all of this, but realistically, we probably would get up there. Why? Because we are in the context of a very bullish market, etc. Did anyone else manage to get on side with that? I think I was updating the chat. I didn't want to announce that I'm long in the live stream because people will just get in. What was your thinking? Thought the 930 drop was a bit too large and looked choppy on the M5. Yeah, that's why to be honest, I was on the M1 and I was looking for that reversal to continuation sequence. Is GC in the outlook? Let me look at gold. I've not yet looked at it really. I did look at it on Wednesday. I wanted to see it drop. Okay, cool. Next week I'm looking at these shorts, George. That's what I'm looking at. Nice daily fair value gap, as I mentioned. I wouldn't short it today. Um, you want a rejection from here. I wouldn't short it today, to be honest. I'd just wait for next week's weekly candle. But next week looks really good. I think this should work lower towards 4351.63. I mentioned 4 minute daily fair value gap here, which is why I didn't want to short down here because what happens, right? So low broken, people do what here? Sell. Then the high gets tagged, and now the real move can happen. I would have liked that high getting taken, then I could look for shorts, but I don't like equal highs here, which is why I'll wait for next week. But these shorts look very easy next week. It's the same thing, low broken, so people sell, breakout traders sell with their stop losses here. They get tagged, and then the real move begins to happen from that point forward. Lows, if you know 930 will distribute, yeah, yeah, hint, hint, I can't, I have this marked up for a reason. That's all I'll say. This orange box on my screen is there for good reason. Nice. YM weak. Like this should hold price higher. I wouldn't want to see this low go. I think it would just rip higher at 930 open. But yeah, actually been a really good week of price action, to be honest. Not bad at all. I've taken one trade Wednesday. I'm trying to think if I took a trade before that. Yeah, literally, exactly. He literally kept his mouth shut for a week, and then you get good price action. It's unbelievable what can happen when you have. Oh yeah, these shorts as well. So two already, three. I mean, three for me in a week's pretty that's a really good week. Usually I average about two. How do you manage not overtrading when looking at multiple pairs? The main thing is I've got s- my personal approach to it. I've got different accounts for different things. So my FTMO, I will only trade one shot, one kills. Will I probably leave a bit of money on the table doing that? Yeah, but it keeps me sane, so that's always worth it. I wouldn't recommend you guys to do that. I would pick one. So you're either trading the weekly expansion or you're scalping NASDAQ. That's just one way I do it. When you get to that level, you can do that, and it's really good because, and usually what you'll find, JJ, is when DXY is bad, NASDAQ's good, and vice versa. Like if we look at DXY, I've not even looked at DXY recently, but to be fair, that drop off was pretty nice. But if NASDAQ's clean, I'll just focus on NASDAQ. Going into next week, I will look at this going lower, which is decoupled with gold, to be honest. So it's a bit of a tricky one there. But I will look at this going lower. We've taken a previous week high here, and now I think we should just distribute towards all these lows. Um, so DXY inside of this was just terrible. I would never trade that sort of price action. That's why I was focused on NASDAQ's expansion up there. Um, but usually I've got different accounts for different things because my FTMOs I'll probably take a trade on them next week with DXY looking like it's beginning to drop. Um, but futures accounts for NASDAQ, and that's how I sort of keep it in check. And just also experience. Like I know over years of seeing it that doing more never gets me more. Like the most money I've made in trading has always come from um having weirdly it's come from having a sort of different purpose outside of trading. That's the whole reason I started content in the first place. And I've had some of my best months while I've been fully focused on other things. And I would just trade 9:30 till 11. So seeing that, basically I say that to say seeing that happen is like proof to my own eyes that doing less is actually more. But when you get to that profitable level, having different accounts for different purposes is really good. Like futures accounts, I'll be a lot more aggressive on. I won't really care about them the same way I care about my FTMO. Now, of course, I trade them properly because what's the point? Otherwise, you're just gambling. But I don't care if I lose a couple of trades. Like, it's not a big deal to me because they're cheap and like I don't expect to keep my futures accounts forever. I'm just trying to run them up. What is flashing? Sorry, one sec. I don't expect to keep them forever. So it's more like, sorry, I got distracted though. My computer's playing up. Yeah, I don't expect to keep those futures accounts forever. So it's sort of like I'm trying to run them up, take a payout, and if I lose them the next withdrawal, fine. Because the approach should be completely different because the drawdown's completely different. On a 50K, you get 2K drawdown. Like your risk should be lower, or you should approach it differently. Good man. So, do you have a method on filtering quality trades from poor ideas? It's usually things like visual price action. That's a great question. Let me think about that for a second. Do you have a method on filtering quality trades from poor ideas? Great question. I just want to answer this properly, so I'm gonna think about it for a second. It's not so much that the trades I'll take on my futures accounts are poor ideas or ones that I wouldn't take. It's more so about diversifying risk. So with my FTMOs, I want them to be every trade has to be A plus. Like it's just again diversifying risk. 9:30 in a few minutes, by the way, they should rip. Um, so like it's not that my futures trades are bad trades or worse quality trades. Sometimes they are worse quality, but they're still A setups or B setups minimum. It's just a different risk approach, a different risk profile. Like scalping futures, you're probably gonna have a worse win rate than if you trade in a weekly expansion, which is why I don't expect too much. But I will take more trades on my futures accounts because it's just a much more aggressive approach. Now, filtering quality trades on my FTMO is it has to be A plus, and I know exactly what my A plus setup looks like. It's a weekly candles prediction, previous day high or previous day low, or a daily fair value gap, and then a market maker sell or buy model on the 1 hour chart, like every single time. That's an A plus setup to me. I'm just engaging with the different distribution levels on the 1 hour chart. Now, for a futures account, I might take a 5 minute inverse for value gap from here, nudge, nudge. But that is like, I would never take that on my FTMO because it's just a completely different risk profile. Because diversifying risk is never a bad thing, right? Even in business, in life, in whatever it is. Like there's a reason people sign prenups. You know, similar sort of concept, you diversifying risk because anything can happen. I just don't want my FTMO accounts to go because it's really like you're getting a real push now. 9:30 should rip this higher in my opinion. You got 10 seconds. But yeah, it's just about keeping risk smart, just being clever about your money, especially in an industry like this. Right, 9:30, see what it does. No, I definitely don't want this to get revisited, no. We've taken out these highs, but it should still rip higher in my opinion. Like this. But yeah, just diversifying risk. That's the best advice I could give you. Same with investing, same with anything. And nearly, nearly at the target. My pleasure. My pleasure. I hope I explained it in like a, a good way because usually a question, right, and that's TP. I hope I explained it in a good way because usually it's like beautiful, nice entry. Usually it's like a question I would sit on for a while. Um, because that's a great question. Like those are the sort of questions traders don't ask. Like people are asking what IFEG do I get on? That is bullshit, right? That's a great question. But I hope I gave a valid answer. Anyway, TP hit on the 5 minute inverse there. 9:30 distribution. Why? Because London manipulation. What is valid manipulation? Range low getting tagged. Okay. And you're profiling that 7 4-hour chart. I look like a wizard right now. Whereabouts is 3R? I wouldn't get too greedy. If you're at like 2R, I'd probably think about taking profits. My position was, as you guys know, I'm not allowed to give signals. Um, but this was marked up for a reason. Um, that low right there. And I think I just had my TP at this. Yeah, JJ, I'd think about taking profits here. Definitely. Like, of course it could keep ripping higher. What did you think of the Arsenal game? Bro, I thought we played quite well, to be honest. Yeah, I would. It depends. What's your risk to reward, JJ, right now? Like, what are you out? 2.5? I'd take it. Below two, I'd wait for a little bit more, maybe. But last thing you want to do is have it reverse from here. But yeah, I think we played well. 1% just hit 2R. Yeah, I'd take 2R. I thought we played well on my side. I don't know. Yeah, I think it should have been a pen. Like when you slow it down, it doesn't look that much like a penalty, but I don't know. I would have. Obviously, we got biased, but I think it was a pen. My boy said it was a pen. He's a United fan, so we get. Arteta gets clowned for like having to go to referees, but we do get some shit decisions. Must be the only person in Manchester who supports Arsenal. Do you know what? There's actually a few, like a lot of Londoners move up here, um, who do support Arsenal. I guess it depends who your friends are like. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of Arsenal fans actually. You'd be quite surprised, especially in the posh areas. Right, let's briefly recap this for the recording. Um, I'll recap both my entry and why 930 is going to be distribution. If you guys have not watched the video, JJ, did I send it to you last time? I think someone asked me for the video of when 930 is going to be distribution. I'm pretty sure I sent it to you. I sent it to someone for sure because someone asked me about it. Um, so 930, as we all know, manipulation or distribution, if I can type. So I think so. I'll definitely need that link again. I'll find it after this. I've done a full video on this before, guys. I'll drop it in the core section just so because it is core content, to be honest. Um, so as we all know, 930 usually manipulates, right? Usually. But there are two main scenarios when 930 is going to be distribution. If London session is manipulation, that's the main scenario. I don't know what other scenario I gave in the video. Um, oh yeah, yeah. Okay. If 830 red folder is manipulation. Okay. So these are the two scenarios where I can predict 930 to be distribution. Okay. There's London session manipulation, which is this scenario, or there's 830 red folder manipulation. Now, that's fine and that's all fine and dandy, but you have to, what is valid manipulation? Okay. Like, what does valid manipulation look like? Because you may think it's manipulation and it's not. But what is valid manipulation? Range low or higher time frame FVG. Okay, range low slash high. So the manipulation has to trade into a range low or high. Just because the leg down goes against your bias, it does not mean it's valid manipulation, which is why this always leads to this follow-up question of what is valid manipulation? And this is absolutely ripping now. But um, what is valid manipulation is a very, very important question because if it stopped here during London session, that is not valid manipulation. Just because it went down, that's not valid manipulation. Valid manipulation means it has to trade into a range low or high or a higher time frame fair value gap. And to be honest, these are usually the same thing. Because if we look at this, right, if we look pre-market on the 5 minute, if I can position this properly, this is a range low, this is a range high. The most obvious connected price swing on your screen, right? And we trade into that range low during or just after London session. Don't be too like it has to be between 3 and 5 a.m. No. As long as 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. started the move down, that's London session manipulation. And then it traded into the range low and swept out this low as well. Now, this is usually the same thing. I say that because if we look at the 7 hour, which is the basically session time frame, this happened. 7 hour fair value gap, London sessions candle traded down into it and rejected from it. So not only are we just looking at this, but we're profiling that time frame, either the 4 or the 7 hour. We trade down into this fair value gap and close back inside this previous candle. So this one is predictably bullish. Okay. So go to the 4 hour, same thing, but we also swept out previous 4 hour candle low during 6 a.m. Right? So London session manipulated. So 9:30 can distribute, and you've got to have balls to long before 9:30. I will give you that, right? It's scary. I still get a bit nervous to this day when I'm longing before 9:30. But if you do your research and you do your back testing, it it does happen a lot of the time. And as long as it's valid to me, I know what my model looks like, I will take it, despite whether being nervous or not. Like I'm not a robot. Okay. I still get nervous. I'm still a bit hesitant sometimes, but I will execute it because I've seen it over and over again and it is my plan. It's my thing. Now imagine I didn't execute on this. I'd be fuming, right? Because it's my plan. I know exactly what it is. And if you're in the stage where you're not sure, then you're still learning. So don't be worried you didn't execute on this. But if I don't execute on this, then that's a whole different problem that I need to deal with. Because I've seen this over and over again, right? I teach this. So it's not easy to execute before 9:30. This is a lot safer. Like this 9:30 manipulating, trading 10 a.m.'s open, low, high, close. That's a lot easier to trade because it's not scary. Entering before 9:30 is always scary. But realistically, what are you scared of? Because your risk is managed, your stop loss is set, and if it hits your stop loss in 3 seconds instead of an hour, like what's the real difference there? It's just mental. Um, so on days like this, when 9:30 is going to be distribution, it's very important to first of all prep yourself mentally, like really prep yourself because it can be hard, but know that I'm sticking to my rules and gather a lot of examples of this. So please, 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 this was a live example of it happening. Me saying before this happened, when we were here, that 9:30 should be distribution because the London session manipulated. I'll post the recording because only a few of you were in here when I said that. But this is like this is an invaluable example because it's not hindsight. I said it and then it happened. So, and that's not me bragging, that's me trying to tell you, please journal this because seeing it happen in real time is a confidence booster for yourself as well. And as in, not only journal the chart, screenshot the chart, mark it up yourself, mark up why it should have been distribution and put that in your journal, but also clip the start of this video when I post it or screen record it, whatever it is for you, and then keep that in a folder of like an example. So a folder titled something like 9:30 distribution, and then have this video. Because that's seeing that when you're scared or when it doesn't work and it stops you out, seeing that is like, okay, like this does work. It just didn't work this time. And these are the sort of steps that you need to take. They're smart. It's being smart about your learning, be smart about your trading. To this day, I still have examples of me calling price before it happens, and then an example like this. Because sometimes you're on a three loss streak and the confidence is shot. And I'm at a point now where I can work out of it. It's fine, right? I'm used to it. I've had many three loss streaks, but it's still a confidence booster that you need because trading is a mental game first. Okay, now as for the entry, so predicting distribution, and then you get this happen. That's displacement. Okay, you need displacement, and to be honest, this is a valid entry. This fair value gap, I just didn't really see it in time. Um, and then I booted up the stream. I was recording a video during this period, and then I saw this inverse fair value gap that we closed above there. So we had displacement. We also have SMT with ES on these lows. Okay. So that's extra confirmation. So we've built up all of this, right? We've built up all of this narrative and story already. And then SMT is extra confirmation. And also, I pointed out, I think I briefly spoke on it, YM being weak. When YM's weak and we have a bias on NASDAQ, which is bullish, excellent, right? So, literally everything I've taught, this couldn't be a better live example of it. Now, SMT down there, displacement. So that's your confirmation. And then that was the inverse fair value gap I had marked up. That was my entry right there when we tagged it. Stop loss went there. Okay, that's horrid. Stop loss went there, and then target went there. 1 to 2.7-ish. Great pass down knowledge and cool. Thank you, bro. You added the 7 hour time frame. Yeah, so basically the 7 hour is basically the sessions. And I'm always trying to find ways to make trading easier for you. The 7 hour is really good because and I learned this off a friend. So like that goes to show you can never be too good or think you're too good to learn new things. And he wasn't teaching me anything new, right? Like I already knew all this, but he was like, "Oh, you don't use the 7 hour chart. This is like perfect for profiling." And I was like, "Okay, let me take a look at this. Why not? I'm not gonna sit around and have an ego." And then things like this happen where, okay, if we look at the 7 hour, which is basically the sessions, because if you look at this, Asia session, London session, New York session. Okay. So it's basically your session time frame just represented as a candle, as a single candle. So if we look at a 7 hour here, 7 hour fair value gap, and then the London session 7 hour candle closed inside the previous one. Now, if we look at a 4 hour, which I'd usually be looking at, it doesn't look as obvious because look at the 4 hour 2 a.m. candle. Didn't really tip its hand to me all that much, right? But the 7 hour absolutely did. It took these lows, traded into a higher time frame key level in a bullish market, and closed back inside this candle. So you've got a rejection, which is when candle closures become important after all of that narrative. And then the next one's predictable. And then obviously we're speaking about London manipulation. So yeah, the 7 hour is really good. It's just a representation of the sessions. And you can use it, I would use it to profile the market, like I did here. And it just goes to show like you never don't have an ego when it comes to this stuff. I love days like distribution because you're done before 10 a.m. Nice. 7 is considered the perfect number. There you go then. I had a question, but it's a bit, yeah, please shoot. You see regarding time in the monthly candle, yeah. I wouldn't apply it in that way. You can apply it not on the very first day, but in terms of the first, like the only way I'd apply it in that way is the open. to high, not on the very first day. Like, I wouldn't apply it like that. I would apply it just using the opening price. So, like, for example, if we were predicting a bullish monthly candle and the first week was bearish, then I would apply it. But I wouldn't apply it in the same way of like the very first day being the opposite. The same way you would the very last day being the opposite, if that makes sense. Yeah, just wait and be safe. Don't use it the same way you'd use the very last day of the monthly candle, because the very last day of the monthly candle, you've got the whole month's data behind you. The very first day, you've got nothing. But the very first week, if it's going opposing to your direction and we run out some key liquidity or we trade into a higher time frame key level, yeah, I would use that as like the open to low. Thanks, George. Thanks for being here. Have a great weekend as well. God bless you. Take care. I'm gonna pretty much end up stream because I want this recording to be short. Has anyone got any last questions? Because this recording was perfect. Like I couldn't have scripted a better one. So has anyone got any last questions before I end the recording? And please, 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 if you do anything this weekend, watch this video over because it was actually really good. Imagine I didn't record it. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, bro. Take care. No last questions. Take care, Almas. Take care, JJ. Thank you all. All right, guys. I'll speak to you. I'll speak to you tomorrow. I'll probably do a weekly recap because I had 3 trades, so I'll do a weekly recap tomorrow and then weekly outlook. Thank you, everyone. Take care and have a beautiful weekend.